UFOs have fascinated people for centuries, from dreamy myths of ancient civilizations to modern reports of strange sightings. The unexplained phenomenon of unidentified flying objects continues to captivate and intrigue us. Now, Europe has become the epicenter of UFO sightings, with reports of strange lights in the sky and other unusual phenomena pouring in from all corners of the continent. For the first time ever, this exciting documentary will explore the top 20 UFO sightings in Europe and uncover the truth behind their mysterious origins. This thrilling documentary will take viewers on a journey around Europe to visit the sites of the best UFO sightings. What are they? Where do they come from? And why are they flying over Europe in such vast numbers? The documentary will also explore the theories behind these sightings, from alien visitors to top-secret government projects. Are the sightings caused by interdimensional beings, or are they a byproduct of our own advanced technology? So join us on an exhilarating exploration of the top 20 UFO sightings in Europe and discover the truth behind these mysterious phenomena. From mysterious lights in the sky to unexplained objects hovering above us, this documentary will delve deep into the unknown and uncover the secrets of the UFO sightings. The UK has long been considered a hotbed of UFO activity, with numerous sightings and reports of strange activity occurring over the years. One of the most famous UFO sightings in the UK occurred in 1980, when a large unidentified flying object was reported hovering over the town of Rendlesham in Suffolk. The incident, which is sometimes referred to as the Rendlesham Forest incident, is one of the most well-documented UFO sightings in modern British history. On the night of December 26, 1980, two United States Air Force security police officers based at the nearby Royal Air Force Bentwaters observed strange lights coming from Rendlesham Forest. They then proceeded to investigate the area and noticed a triangle-shaped craft which was hovering just off the ground. The craft seemed to be emitting a strange colored light and was described by the security officers as being metallic in appearance. They reported that the craft then began to move away from them before disappearing out of sight. The following day, a team of Air Force personnel investigated the area and discovered 3 small depressions in the ground and broken branches and other evidence which seemed to indicate that a craft had indeed been present. The incident quickly became the subject of much speculation and debate, with some believing that the object was an extraterrestrial craft, while others argued it was likely to have been an experimental military aircraft or even a secret military project. Though the incident has never been conclusively proven, it has become one of the most famous UFO sightings in the UK and is still discussed by UFO enthusiasts to this day. The Rendlesham Forest incident has been the subject of numerous books, documentaries, and even a feature film. The incident has been the subject of numerous investigations, with the most recent being in 2009, when the UK Ministry of Defence released a report into the incident which concluded that the sightings were unexplained, but that there was insufficient evidence to conclusively prove that the object was extraterrestrial in origin. Regardless, the Rendlesham Forest incident remains one of the most famous and mysterious UFO sightings in the UK, and continues to fascinate UFO enthusiasts and conspiracy theorists alike. The best UFO sighting in France is an event that took place in the town of Valensole in the province region of the country in 1965. It is one of the most widely reported and documented UFO sightings in France and is considered by many to be one of the most credible and significant UFO sightings in Europe. The event began on July 1st, 1965, when two farmers, Maurice Mass and René Fauere, were tending to their lavender fields in the early hours of the morning. As they worked, they heard a low humming sound coming from the sky and saw a strange object hovering above them. The object was described as being oval-shaped, with bright lights and a red dome on top. It was estimated to be between 10 to 15 meters in length and was hovering approximately 2 meters above the ground. Mass and Fauere were reportedly so frightened that they ran away from the object, but when they returned to the field later that day, they noticed that the lavender plants were wilted and some of the leaves had been singed. They also noticed a strange, pungent odor in the air that lasted for several days afterwards. Several other witnesses reported seeing the object in the sky that same day, and the story was widely reported in the local press. Mass and Fauere were later interviewed by Dr. Amy Michel, a French ufologist, who was able to corroborate their account and gain further insight into the event. The Valensole UFO sighting is considered to be one of the most compelling and credible UFO sightings in Europe. It is widely accepted as one of the most significant events in the history of ufology, and many researchers consider it to be the best UFO sighting in France. It is also one of the few sightings in which physical evidence was found afterward, making it even more compelling. One of the most credible and well-documented UFO sightings in history occurred in Germany in 1930. On the evening of April 24th, 1930, a large, silent, disc-shaped object was seen by hundreds of witnesses over the sky above the town of Freiburg in the state of Baden-Württemberg. The witnesses, some of whom were professional pilots, described the object as being an enormous dark body shaped like a disc or a plate, moving silently through the sky. It was estimated to be about 75 feet in diameter, had blurry edges, and had a powerful spotlight radiating from its underside. The The object moved slowly, majestically, in a northerly direction. Eyewitnesses reported the UFO sighting to police, as well as local newspapers. Police officials then conducted interviews with the witnesses and determined that the object had not been any sort of known aircraft or celestial body. For years, the incident remained a mystery, with no explanation for what the witnesses had seen that night in Freiburg. However, in recent years, some German researchers have begun to look into the incident as part of a larger research into the UFO phenomenon. They believe that the Freiburg incident may have been one of the most significant events in Germany's modern UFO history, and that the deliberate silence that has greeted it since may indicate a government cover-up. Certainly, the intensity of the witnesses' accounts and the sheer number of them has made the Freiburg sighting one of the most significant UFO sightings in Germany. The witnesses described the object in detail and with certainty, leaving no room for doubt that something extraordinary had happened above Freiburg that evening. Of course, as UFO sightings go, the Freiburg incident is still shrouded in mystery. But for many, it remains the single best UFO sighting ever recorded in Germany. The most famous UFO sighting in Italy is a mysterious encounter that took place in the early morning hours of Wednesday, October 13th, 1976. On that morning, the people of a small Italian town witnessed a large cylindrical object hovering in the sky for 45 minutes. Witnesses described the craft as glowing and rotating, with a white light at its center. Several people, including a priest, reported seeing a humanoid figure on top of the craft, wearing a red jumpsuit. The encounter began at 2:30 a.m. when a man named Angelo Campolo heard a loud buzzing noise outside his home. When he looked out the window, he saw an immense object shrouded in dense vapor, flying slowly and steadily. Campolo quickly woke up his friend, Giovanni Afghansini. Both men watched the craft as it slowly moved closer. Campolo reported that the craft was about the length of a football field and had flat edges and fins. At 3:15 a.m., Campolo and Afghansini contacted the police about the sighting. The police then contacted a radar station and were able to confirm the unknown object on their radar. A police car was sent to the location and stayed there for about 30 minutes before the object suddenly shot away at high speed, leaving a trail of red and yellow sparks behind it. The incident was investigated by several international UFO research organizations. One of the most remarkable aspects of the case was that witnesses reported seeing the humanoid figure. The figure was seen gesturing, possibly trying to communicate. It was also reported that the craft would generate a beam of light from time to time, causing an intense sensation of heat. More than 30 people reported the encounter. Witnesses included a priest who saw the object while he was performing morning prayers in his church. Other witnesses described the object as resembling a football stadium with its bright white light at the center, and other witnesses described a bluish light coming from the object. The incident, known as the Grand Sasso d'Italia UFO sighting, remains one of the most well-known and well-reported UFO sightings in Italy's history. Although the incident remains unexplained to this day, it stands out as one of the best UFO sightings in Italy, and with its numerous and detailed eyewitness accounts, it is considered as one of the most credible and extensively investigated cases in ufology. The Spanish city of Albacete, in the south of the country, has become the unlikely epicenter of a huge interest in the UFO phenomenon, with its sighting of one single unidentified flying object in the night sky on the evening of August 4th, 1998. The sighting has come to be known as the Albacete UFO and has become one of the most highly documented and talked about UFO sightings in the world. The events of the evening began with two teenagers, Juan Carlos Navas and Luis Fuster, who were out for a peaceful evening stroll. At around 10 p.m., they noticed two strange objects hovering in the sky, which, from their vantage point, appeared to be large, circular, and bright yellow in color. As they stood and watched in amazement, the two objects seemed to merge and then separate again before flying away at great speed. Witnesses to the event, including members of the local government and law enforcement, reported seeing the objects with the naked eye, describing them as two vast luminous discs placed in formation which passed through the sky quickly. The sighting of the Albacete UFO made headlines, not only in Spain, but also internationally. There were over 700 eyewitness reports of the event and more than 100 photos taken by locals. In fact, the event drew so much attention that the Ministry of Defense, the Ministry of Education, and the National UFO Information Center all conducted investigations to try to find out what had happened that night. To this day, the source of the Albacete UFO remains a mystery and has caused much debate and controversy amongst UFO enthusiasts. Some theorize that the two objects were aircraft of some kind, while others believe that they were alien UFOs. It is still being actively discussed and studied today, with many people convinced that something extraordinary occurred that clear night in Albacete. One thing is certain. The Albacete UFO sighting is considered one of the single best UFO sightings in Spain and around the world. For decades, the public has been fascinated by stories of UFO sightings and reports of extraterrestrial visitors, with Ireland being no exception. Although reports of extraterrestrial activity stretching back to pre-Christian times are hard to authenticate, sightings of mysterious objects in the sky remain commonplace in Irish culture. In recent years, UFOs have been seen from the small towns and villages of Ireland to the inner city of Dublin. As such, Ireland has become an important spot for UFO hunters and researchers. One of the most famous and widely reported sightings in Irish skies is the reports of a bright, unidentified object over Carlingford in 1998. On the evening of June 11th, 1998, a group of locals were witness to what they deemed to be a UFO. According to the folk who witnessed the phenomenon, a disc or disc-shaped object of a bright and luminous light was seen hovering and zigzagging in the night sky. The sighting was reported to the Irish Aviation Authority and was subsequently investigated by the British Ministry of Defence. After interviewing and examining all witnesses, their conclusions were relatively inconclusive. However, they acknowledged that whatever the object was, it was definitely worth further analysis. Over the years, numerous theories have been put forward to explain the UFO sighting. From more conventional explanations, such as military aircraft or meteorological balloons, to extraterrestrial visitation. What did remain clear was that all eyewitnesses agreed that they continued to see the object for over an hour, zigzagging and hovering in the night sky. Further adding strength to the arguments of those who believe the object was of alien origin is the fact that the Irish National UFO Working Group described the sighting as one of the most credible UFO sightings in the country. A group of 4 English researchers also reviewed the sighting and concluded that, whatever it was not part of normal aviation. As such, there is decisive evidence to suggest that the sighting was indeed something strange and extraordinary. While it is impossible to prove or disprove its extraterrestrial origin beyond doubt, it remains one of the most documented and fascinating UFO sightings in Irish history. UFO sightings are fairly common around the world, but there is one in particular that stands out from the rest. This is the 1977 Sintra Air Force Base incident in Portugal, which is widely believed to be one of the most extraordinary UFO sightings ever recorded. The incident occurred at an air base located near Sintra, Portugal, on August 19, 1977. Pilots from the United States Air Force, along with Portuguese air traffic controllers and spectators, all witnessed a strange craft hovering near the base and its runway. According to reports, the craft appeared to be metallic in color and had a number of flashing red, green, and yellow lights. Witnesses described the object as being huge, in the shapes of a boomerang, and hovering at an estimated altitude of 6,000 feet. The strange craft remained hovering in the area for approximately 2 hours before flying away at a high rate of speed. During the time that the craft was present, reports of cognizant air traffic controllers communicating with the unknown craft were recorded as well. Those on the ground were ordered to keep at least 800 feet away from the craft, and when that distance was breached, warnings were flashed through a megaphone. Shortly after the event occurred, the Portuguese Air Force issued a statement noting that they have no explanation for the event, but that they have investigated fully the sighting and the video footage taken of the object and believe that the object was not any kind of aircraft known to the Air Force. The immense size, altitude, and behavior of the craft led most to believe that the object seen at the Portugal Airbase in 1977 was most likely an extraterrestrial craft. In addition, the footage taken of the craft has been analyzed time and time again and is believed to be authentic, leaving many investigators with the conclusion that this was in fact one of the clearest and strongest cases of a UFO sighting in recent history. Today, the Sintra Air Force Base incident of 1977 still stands out as one of the most interesting UFO events to have occurred in Portugal. Although it has been over 40 years since the incident, it remains an intriguing mystery to many and is considered to be one of the best UFO sightings in the country. UFOs have been seen in Poland over the years, but one of the most intriguing reports is a sighting in the spring of 2000. On April 19th, Commander Marek Milos of the Polish Navy witnessed something quite extraordinary while aboard a patrol vessel in the Baltic Sea. Commander Milos was on duty when he noticed an unidentified object hovering in the air above him. It was a disc-shaped craft with a wooden hull and shining lights. Despite the cloudy weather, the craft was illuminated and appeared to be completely stationary. The UFO was estimated to be about 100 meters in diameter and had a shiny exterior. After a few minutes, the craft flew off at an incredible speed, leaving a short contrail in its wake. The commander reported the sighting to the Ministry of National Defense in Poland. The government launched an investigation into the incident, but there were no further reports of any other sightings. Although the sighting was treated as a top-secret affair, it was later featured in several UFO documentaries and books. The story was also reported by the BBC, and some skeptics even claimed it was a hoax. However, the Polish Navy stands by the sighting and believes that Commander Milos saw something extraordinary that day. While there have been numerous documented UFO sightings around the world over the years, few have been as compelling as the one that occurred in Turkey in 1986. On May 19th of that year, several people in the city of Erzincan, Turkey, reported seeing a strange object in the sky. Witnesses described the object as a large glowing disc shape hovering in the sky. In addition to the strange shape of the object, many witnesses reported that the object emitted a strange sound and had powerful searchlights that illuminated the night sky. The incredible sighting was reported in local newspapers and broadcast on national television, creating a sensation throughout the country. Some witnesses speculated that the object may have been extraterrestrial in origin. However, the true identity of the object remains a mystery to this day. The Turkish government responded to the sighting by launching an official investigation. However, they were unable to come to any definitive conclusions as to what the object was. Reports of the sighting were also reaffirmed by the United States Air Force and NATO, but they were unable to arrive at a conclusive answer either. The incident was further scrutinized in the decade following the sighting, due to its great potential for scientific discovery. Many investigators and UFO experts have speculated that the Erzincan sighting could be the strongest tangible evidence yet of the existence of extraterrestrial life. UFO sightings have been reported in Sweden since the 1950s, with hundreds of sightings recorded in the country. But one particular incident from 2006 stands out above all the others. On the night of June 24, 2006, a Swedish Air Force plane was performing a routine patrol of northern Sweden when the pilot registered an extraordinary sight in his radar. On the radar screen, the pilot could make out a disc-shaped object that was flying at a lower altitude than the Air Force plane. According to the pilot, the unidentified object flew ahead of the plane for a few minutes before disappearing from the radar. The report of the UFO sighting was made to the Swedish defense staff and quickly gained notoriety in the international media, with the sighting reaching countries such as China, India, Japan, Canada, the United States, and more. At the same time, some witnesses at the nearby village of Luleå reported seeing a strange light in the sky that night. One witness, identified only as Gunnar Orndal, said that he saw the light floating like a disc, and that it slowly moved away from the area, leaving behind a smoke trail. UFO enthusiast Lars Olof Strand also witnessed the incident. By then, Strand had worked with the investigating team for more than 20 years, and in 2006 was leading the inquiry effort. He reported seeing a white disc-shaped object on the horizon and noted that the object had a dome-like structure. Little is known about the mysterious object, but numerous theories have been put forward. One popular theory suggests that the UFO was a secret military or reconnaissance aircraft deployed by a foreign power. Some have speculated that the object was a reconnaissance aircraft sent to investigate the installation of a U.S. missile defense system in the nearby Onskoldsvik region. Another theory suggests that the UFO is a space vehicle from another planet. The 2006 UFO sighting in Sweden is widely regarded as one of the best and most convincing UFO sightings of all time. It is one of the few cases where both radar evidence and eyewitness accounts coincide to form a compelling narrative. Moreover, it is one of the few cases where the identity of the object remained unknown. The best ever UFO sighting in Norway took place in the town of Bodo in 1973. It is one of the most significant sightings in Norwegian history and has become a part of UFO folklore. On the night of February 21st, 1973, Bodo experienced a huge display of aerial activity. Residents of Bodo observed strange lights in the sky from their windows and were mesmerized by what they were seeing. To kick things off, the sighting started with a triangular formation of bright white lights in the sky. They were in a stationary position and looked like no ordinary aircraft, moving in synchronized patterns and creating a rectangular shape in the sky. As they moved, onlookers could see them creating lightning-like flashes, which illuminated the entire sky. As the evening progressed, the sightings took on a much more bizarre and frightening nature. Two bright orange orbs appeared and were soon joined by many others, with each passing minute. According to reports, some of the objects were as big as ordinary aircraft and had flashing multicolored lights. Witnesses also reported seeing some kind of energy beams coming from the orbs, which rushed towards Bodo's shoreline. The story became much more intense when President of the Norwegian Air Force, General John Ebbesen, was scrambled to investigate. He encountered what he referred to as a mothership, which was hovering in the air, high above Bodo. Eyewitnesses were able to get a close look at the UFO through binoculars and described it as a giant ellipse with multicolored lights and strange protrusions. At the time, President Ebbesen believed he was dealing with something extraordinary. The Norwegian authorities have since released his statement, which read, "This was definitely not an aircraft of any kind. The size, colors, and movement merely confirmed this was of an unknown origin. There was no doubt in my mind." It is also worth noting that other high-ranking members of the military and government assisted in the sequel of this event, ruling out any kind of caught-on-camera hoax. Since then, the full details of the Norway sighting have been shrouded in mystery. Despite the eyewitness accounts and official reports, many people still remain skeptical of the event's authenticity. Despite this, it remains one of the most well-documented and significant UFO sightings in Norwegian history. The single best UFO sighting in Ukraine is an incident that occurred in November 1997 near the city of Chernivtsi. The sighting was witnessed by a group of workers at a Soviet-era military base who reported that they had seen a large glowing object hovering in the sky above them. The object was estimated to be several hundred meters in diameter and was said to have emitted an intense white light that could be seen for an estimated 40 kilometers. The sightings were investigated by Soviet-era scientists and a group of military personnel who conducted a detailed analysis of the incident. During their investigation, they collected various pieces of evidence, including handwritten witness accounts, as well as photographic and radar evidence. The evidence suggested that the object had descended from the sky and then abruptly stopped, hovering over the site for over an hour before abruptly leaving. Witnesses at the site reported feeling a powerful buzzing sensation that caused dizziness and nausea. They also reported seeing strange colors and shapes within the object, which were described as multicolored lights. Scientists and military personnel involved in the investigation concluded that the object was not a conventional aircraft, and they were unable to explain its behavior or composition. Various theories have been proposed to explain the incident, including those involving UFOs, top-secret military experiments, and even time travelers from an alternative timeline. The incident in Chernivtsi remains one of Ukraine's most famous UFO sightings to this day, and has been studied by numerous experts over the years. Despite the various theories that have been proposed, it remains a mystery that continues to fascinate and intrigue us. The Roswell incident is probably the most famous and discussed reported UFO sighting in history. However, In terms of sheer numbers, one of the largest UFO sightings ever recorded occurred over the city of Voronezh in the former Soviet Union in 1989. On September 27, 1989, for almost half an hour, at least 6 UFOs were spotted over the city of Voronezh. The sightings occurred during the evening hours when people were leaving from their workplaces and heading home. This expansive event was an unusual and extraordinary incident. Several eyewitnesses reported that the UFOs looked like large triangles or round domes that were emitting a bright light, hovering high in the sky. Witnesses estimated the size of these craft to be between 20 to 50 meters wide. The object remained motionless in the sky for about 20 minutes. It occasionally released smaller spherical objects that flew around it. When it seemed that the show was coming to an end, the craft began to move slowly away before suddenly disappearing. The mayor of Voronezh, Solomon Ivanov, and the director of the local observatory, Professor Zavyanov, held a press conference confirming the sighting. The city's newspaper, Voronezhsky Vesti, carried the story to a national level. The explanation for the phenomenon is controversial. According to some theories, the UFO sighting could have been an experimental space shuttle that was launched from one of the several military air bases of the former Soviet Union. However, there are those who claim that the sighting was of extraterrestrial origin. Recently, the most remarkable UFO sighting in Austrian history occurred in the small village of Meerhofen in the Tyrol region. On the evening of August 9, 2016, over 60 witnesses saw an object hovering in the skies above Meerhofen for over half an hour. The object appeared to be stationary throughout the entire sighting and was described as being around the size of a car. Its defining features were a series of bright blinking lights that changed color from yellow to green to red. Notably, this was one of the few UFO sightings in history which was verified by radar technology. Eyewitnesses reported that the object didn't appear to move significantly and that the lights changed at seemingly random intervals. A few eyewitnesses even reported seeing sparks or streaks of light emanating from the object, which would have been impossible had it merely been an airplane or a helicopter. The object disappeared suddenly after over 30 minutes, by which time a crowd of people had gathered to observe it. In the weeks following the sighting, British and German media outlets reported that military aircraft were present in the area, though it was never definitively established why. To this day, the object remains unidentified. When it comes to UFO sightings throughout the world, one of the most fascinating is undoubtedly the single best UFO sighting in Hungary. In March of 2019, a mysterious object was spotted hovering in the stars above Budapest, leaving a trail of strange shapes in the sky. The strange sighting caught the attention of many and quickly spread across the globe. Witnesses reported that the object was a bright blue and red light hovering in the sky for around 15 minutes before disappearing into the night. A few brief videos captured from the area showed the light moving quickly in circles before shooting upwards into the sky. A few days later, some additional sightings of the mysterious object were reported, Witnesses said that the same bright light had suddenly appeared in different places in Hungary in a matter of days. This prompted an official investigation by the Hungarian authorities. Unfortunately, no official explanation has been given for the sightings, although the government did hire experts to analyze the videos. They determined that the object was most likely an unidentified flying object, but could not confirm what kind of craft it was. One of the most remarkable sightings of an unidentified flying object in Greece has to be the multi-witness sighting from the village of Kandanos in the western part of Crete in November 2017. Around 3 p.m. on Sunday, November 11th, 2017, an unidentified aircraft flew from north to south at very high speed over the village of Kandanos in western Crete in the Mediterranean Sea. The sighting initially alerted the locals when they heard a strange noise as a fast plane flew unusually low over the village and then suddenly disappeared very quickly. That was the first indication that the locals had of the unidentified flying object, which was later identified as a large, cylindrical-shaped aircraft. Soon after the initial sighting, witnesses started reporting different sightings of the craft as it flew around Stylos village, east of Kandanos. The object was described as white and gray in color, and moving at an extremely high speed. The sighting attracted the attention of a few news outlets and sparked a renewed interest in the UFO phenomenon in Greece. It was eventually picked up by mainstream news outlets, and researchers in the field have been using the incident to encourage further research into the UFO phenomenon in Greece. While many people may disagree on the validity of the evidence, one particular case of a UFO sighting in Denmark stands out among the rest. In the early hours of November 10th, 1970, air traffic controllers in Denmark witnessed what is now thought to be one of the most solid cases of a UFO sighting in the area. According to the records, the unidentified flying object was moving very quickly and with incredible maneuverability over the skies of Viborg in Denmark. The incident was witnessed by more than one controller and was also recorded by radio, making it a highly credible sighting. At one point, the unidentified flying object stopped and hovered before its continued journey. Various experts have examined this case, and none of them have been able to draw any concrete conclusions. Although some analysts have suggested that the object could have been a missile or experimental aircraft, the presence of a highly sophisticated radar system on board the UFO renders that explanation unlikely. While the truth may never be known, it is this single sighting of a mysterious UFO that has been thought to be one of the strongest cases in Denmark. Luxembourg has gained an increased interest in the UFO phenomenon due to a particularly fascinating and convincing sighting in October 2019. The incident has been widely regarded as the single best UFO sighting in the country's history. The sighting occurred in the small town of Ecto in the central east of Luxembourg. Multiple eyewitnesses reported seeing a peculiar cylindrical-shaped object, approximately 8 to 9 meters in length, hovering silently overhead. The object had bright white lights that appeared to blink. The object then began to move with remarkable speed and agility, and silently flew off into the night sky. Since its occurrence, a series of photographs were taken of the object and released to the media, sparking further speculation. A few days after the sighting occurred, one of the eyewitnesses submitted an official report to the local Civil Aviation Authority. Although the report seemed to be genuine, it was impossible to conclusively prove the sighting's origin, as the authorities had no other evidence to corroborate the claim. Nevertheless, this sighting remains one of the most compelling examples of an extraterrestrial visit to Luxembourg. Whatever the truth may be, the sighting of Ecto continues to captivate the imagination of locals and foreigners alike. It stands out as Luxembourg's single best UFO sighting, and is sure to remain a subject of intrigue for as long as our skies remain a mystery. UFO sightings have been reported in Malta for centuries, and there is still debate about the accuracy of many of them. One of the most famous, and arguably the single best UFO sighting in Malta, is that of the mysterious 1967 sighting near Borg in-Nadur. In the early morning hours of January 28, 1967, several witnesses reported seeing an enormous airborne craft hovering silently over the area of Borg in-Nadur. The witnesses could clearly see two light beams emitting from the underside of the craft, as well as a visible underbelly. The craft was estimated to be at least twice the size of a Boeing 707 jet, and it was accompanied by 4 smaller objects. The craft then moved slowly along the coastline, and the 4 smaller objects began to circle it. At one point, they all stopped, and the 4 smaller objects flew away. The craft continued to hover for a few more minutes before abruptly changing direction and rapidly heading northwest. This incident has been the subject of many theories and a great deal of research. Some believe that the craft may have been from extraterrestrial origin, while others believe it may have been a classified military craft. However, to this day, the identity of the craft and its occupants remain a mystery. Whatever it was that the witnesses saw that cold January morning in 1967, it is widely acknowledged to be the single best UFO sighting ever witnessed in Malta, and the debate surrounding it continues to fascinate and intrigue. In the summer of 2020, Cyprus experienced one of the most intriguing and inexplicable UFO sightings to date. On a warm evening in July 22nd, people all over Cyprus were left fascinated by what seemed to be an unidentified flying object. The strange object had a shape like nothing ever seen before hovering in the sky, so much so that it was difficult for the witnesses to explain what was going on. The object was vibrantly colored with an array of red, orange, yellow, and blue lighting, and was large enough that onlookers estimated it to be between 20 and 30 feet in circumference. The object was moving in a strange pattern, alternating between hovering and zigzagging through the sky. It then made an impossibly sharp 90-degree turn before suddenly stopping and hovering in place. After a minute or two, the object began to ascend rapidly until eventually it disappeared into the night sky, leaving the awestruck witnesses to ponder what they had just seen. The Cyprus authorities were contacted and launched an investigation into the UFO sighting, but no further evidence or sightings were ever found. Whatever it was, the event stands as one of the most peculiar encounters Cyprus had ever seen. The evidence that aliens have visited Europe is incredibly compelling. There have been numerous sightings of UFOs and sightings of alien entities over the years that cannot be easily dismissed. Throughout Europe, there have been reports of unknown aerial phenomena that just cannot be identified as any known aircraft. Additionally, many eyewitness accounts of strange encounters with strange entities have been reported by reliable sources. One of the most famous UFO sightings in all of Europe happened near the Belgian city of Malmedy in 1989. During that incident, numerous witnesses reported seeing a huge triangular craft with 4 bright lights flying over the city. Although many theories have been put forward to explain what was seen, none have been able to convincingly account for the event. Perhaps one of the most famous alien sightings in Europe dates back to 1982, when a strange creature known as the Valensole alien was seen in France. According to eyewitness reports, the creature had a humanoid shape, but was nearly 10 feet tall and had a glowing light emanating from its chest. No one has been able to explain what this creature was or where it came from. In addition to these sightings, there have been a number of reported cases of abductions taking place across Europe. In particular, in the UK, there have been numerous reports of people being taken against their will and then returning with strange marks and stories of alien abductions. The evidence for aliens visiting Europe is strong enough to suggest that something strange is occurring. Although not all of the evidence can be directly linked to aliens, there is enough to suggest that something unusual is going on. Whether or not aliens are actually visiting, or somehow involved in these strange occurrences, is still up for debate, but one thing is for sure. Aliens have certainly been seen in Europe.